Rishad, Amit, thanks so much for being with us here today. And I'm going to start off with you, Rishad, because you've actually inculcated the 5 habits that corporates or Wipro should in fact, lead with when it comes to dealing with your hundreds of thousands of employees. Talk us through that and how you're trying to build a more inclusive culture, not just in terms of gender, ethnicity, but also in terms of ideas and collaboration.
Does this work? Okay, that's perfect. No, so 2 things. One is, Aabha, inclusiveness is a mindset, right? So to be inclusive, you first have to have diversity in organizations. And we've been very purposeful about building diversity, frankly, in the last few years. And, I'll share a story that was very interesting. I was having this conversation with one of my board members. And I was telling him, look, when I'm looking to hire people, I'm oftentimes looking to find commonality. Do I like this person? Can I have a drink with in the evening with this person? Can I have a cup of coffee with this person? And he said to me, that's the completely wrong way to look for people. You should look for people who are very different than you, who challenge you, who make you uncomfortable, who can be reporting to and just you're trembling to deal with them, right? Because they bring different perspectives to the table. And diversity does that for you. You get diversity of ideas on the table when you have diversity of ethnicity and gender and experiences and where you've lived and the kinds of jobs you've done and the communities you belong to. And so, to me, that's incredibly powerful in terms of how do you bring a very strong mindset to the table. To make that inclusive, you have to think about biases. All of us have biases. Some of them are conscious. And as leaders and as people and as individuals, how do we work on being aware of the biases that we have, and so how can we control them? But equally importantly, on the unconscious bias. So one of the things we are spending a lot of time on training is how do we get people trained on unconscious biases so we can make the environment much, much more inclusive. And so we've been on this journey of making the organization more inclusive, but it's a journey and it's a lot of work, but I think we are richer for that in terms of what we bring to the table as a group. The other thing you asked me about is the habits, which I feel very passionately about because, about 4 years ago when I took over this role, one of the things I realized, which was quite simple but for me very profound, was, we've been articulating our values as a company for the last 50 years. But I realized people don't experience your values. They experience your behaviors. And as a consequence of which they interpret whether you live your values or not. So for example, you can say we're very respectful as a company, which most companies say, but if you are rude and abrasive and don't listen to people and don't include them in conversations, you're not demonstrating respect even though you say you're respectful. And so we've been on this journey of how do we get people to show up, to live these values in action through behaviors, which is what you and I experience every day. And so I've personally spent maybe 300 hours, made about 105 sessions, made about 35,000 of our colleagues, just talking through stories about why this is important in the way you show up, because I think it's terribly important in organizations overall, but even more so in services, people-oriented organizations.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.